भगवते ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Text number 37. Is it 38 or 37?
38, Mataji.
38, okay. All right. अथा जगामा भगवान् नारदासह तुम्बुरु प्रत्युत्थाय अभिवाद्याः सानुजो अभ्यर्चयन् मुनिम्.
Hare Krishna. While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tamburu. Maharaj Yudhishthira and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances.
Text 39. Yudhishthira uvacha Naham veda gatim pitror Bhagavan kvagata vita Ambavahata putrartha Kvagata cha tapasvini.
Maharaj Yudhishthira said, O godly personality, I do not know where my two uncles have gone, nor can I find my aesthetic aunt who is grief-stricken. Sorry, Mataji, I'm lost. 39. Yeah, 39. Sorry, I'll start again. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, O godly personality, I do not know where my two uncles have gone, nor can I find my aesthetic aunt who has grief-stricken by the loss of all her sons.
Text 40. Karnadhara iva pare Bhagavana paradarshaka Atha bhavashe Bhagavana Narado muni sattama.
You are like a captain of the ship in the great ocean, and you can direct us in our destination. Thus addressed the godly personality, Devarshi Narad, greatest of the philosopher devotees, began to speak.
Narada uvacha Ma kanchana shucho rajan Yad ishvara vasham jagat Loka sapalaya me Vahanti balimishutu Sa samyunakti bhutani Sa eva vyunakti cha.
Sri Narada said, O pious king, do not lament for anyone, for everyone is under control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all living beings and their leaders carry on worshipping to be well protected. It is He only who brings them together and disperses them.
Text 42. Yatha gavo nashi protas Tantyam baddhascha damabhihi Vaktantyam namabhirbadha Vahanti balim ishutu.
As a cow bound through the nose of a long rope is conditioned, so also human beings are bound by different Vedic injunctions and are conditioned to obey the orders of the Supreme.
Text 43. Yatha kridopashkaranam samyoga vigama viva Ichchaya kriti dusyatam tatheveshchaya nirnam.
As a player sets up and disperses his playing things according to his own sweet will, so the supreme will of the Lord brings men together and separates them.
Text 44. Yan manyase dhruvam lokam adhruvam vanacho bhayam sarvatha nahi shocyaste स्नेहाद् अन्यत्र मोहजात्.
O king, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle or a material body to be perishable, or everything to exist in the impersonal absolute truth, or everything to be inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feeling of the separations are due only to illusory affection and nothing more.
Text 45. तस्माज्जाहि अङ्गवैक्लव्यम् अज्ञानकृतमात्मना कथं त्वा अनाथा कृपणा वर्तेरंस्ते च मां विना.
Therefore, give up all your anxiety due to the ignorance of self. You are now thinking of how they who are helpless, poor creatures will exist without you. Sorry.
Text 46. कालकर्मा गुणाधीनो देहोऽयं पञ्चभौतिका कथं मन्यंस्तु गोपायेत् सर्पग्रस्तो यथा परम्.
This gross material body, made of 5 elements, are already under the control of the eternal time kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it be already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others?
Text 47. अहस्तानि सहस्तानाम् अपदानि चतुष्पदम् फाल्गुनी तत्र माहताम् जीवो जीवस्य जीवनम्.
Those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the full-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another.
Text 48. तद्दिदं भगवान् राजन् एक आत्मात्मनं स्वदृक् अन्तरन्नन्तरो भाति पश्यतां मायावोरुधा.
Therefore, O king, you should look to the Supreme Lord only, who is one without a second, and who manifests himself by different energies and is both within and without.
Text 49. सोऽयमद्य महाराजा भगवान् भूतभावना कालरूपोऽवर्तिनो कालरूपोऽवर्तिनोष्याम् अभवायासुरद्विषाम्.
That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is the goddess of all devouring time, Kala Rupa, has now descended to the earth to eliminate the envious from the world.
Text 50. निष्पदितं देवाकृत्यम् अवशेषं प्रतीक्षते तावद्यूयम् अवेक्षध्वं भवेद्यावद् इहेश्वरा.
The Lord has already performed his duties to help the demigods, and he is awaiting the rest. You Pandavas may wait as long as the Lord is here on the earth.
Text 51. धृतराष्ट्रा सह भ्रात्रा गान्धार्या च स्वभार्या दक्षिणेन हिमावाता ऋषीणामाश्रमं गता.
O king, your uncle Dhritarashtra and his brother Vidur and his wife Gandhari has gone to the southern side of the Himalayan mountains where there are shelters of the great sages.
Text 52. श्रोतोभिः सप्तभिर्यावाय सर्वधूनि सप्तधा व्यदात् सप्तानां प्रीतये नाना सप्तश्रोता प्रकाशते.
The place is called Saptashrota, divided by 7, because there the waters are sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis.
Text 53. स्नातवानु सवन्यस्मिन् हुत्वा चाग्निन् यथा विधि अभक्षा उपशान्तात्मा सा आस्ते विगता शनैः.
On the banks of Saptasrota, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in beginning Ashtanga Yoga by bathing 3 times daily, in the morning, noon, and evening, and performing the Agnihotra sacrifice with fire and by drinking only water. This helps one control the mind and the senses, and frees from completely from the thoughts of familial affection.
Text 54. Jitasano jitashvasha pratyaharta sadindriya haribhavanaya dvasta rajasatva tamomala.
On one who has controlled the sitting postures, the yogic asanas, and the breathing process can turn the senses towards the absolute personality of Godhead and thus become immune to the contamination of the modes of material nature, namely mundane, goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Text 55. Vijnanatmani samyogya kshetragni pravilapyatam brahmani atmanamadhare gatambaram ivambare.
Dhritarashtra will now have to amalgamate his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the Supreme Being with knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity with the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the blocked sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky.
Text 56. ध्वस्तमाया गुणोदर्को निरुद्ध कारणशया निवर्तिताखिलाहारा आस्ते स्थाणुरिवाचला तस्यान्तरायमय भावो संन्याक्षाथकिला कर्मणः.
He will have to suspend all the actions of the senses, even from the outside, and will have to be impervious to interaction of his senses, which are influenced by the modes of material nature. After renouncing all material duties, he must become immovable, established beyond all sources of hindrance on the path.
Text 57. सवाद्यात्तनाद्राजन् पारता पञ्चमे हनि कलेवरं हास्यति स्वं तच्चा भस्मी भविष्यति.
O king, he will quit his body most probably on the 5th day from today, and his body will turn into ashes.
Text 58. दायामने निभिर्देहे पत्युपत्नी सहोतजे बाहिस्थिता पतिं साध्वी तम् अग्निम् अनुवेक्ष्यति.
While outside observing her husband, who will burn in the fire of mystic power along with his thatched cottage, his chaste wife will enter the fire with a rapt attention.
Text 59. विदुरस्तु तद् आश्चर्यं निशमा कुरु नन्दन हर्षशोकायुतस्तस्मात् गन्ततीर्थनिषेवकः.
Vidur, being affected with delight and grief, will then leave the place of the sacred pilgrimage.
Text 60. इत्युक्त्वा थारुहत् स्वर्गं नारदासः तुम्बुरु युधिष्ठिरो वचस्तस्य हृदि कृत्वा जहच्युचः.
Having spoken thus, the great sage Narad, along with his Veena, ascended into outer space. Yudhishthira kept his instruction in his heart and so was able to get rid of all the lamentation. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for that wonderful recitation, Mataji and Rupa Mataji.
Thank you.
Sorry for if I made any mistakes. Please forgive me.
Wonderful recitations, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Can you see the slides on the screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So we'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakambalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरम् नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृद्यन्ते हस्तोः पुत्राणि विदुनोति सुरत्सतां नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी ततां प्रसङ्गान् मम वीर्यसंविदो भवन्ति हृत्कर्णरसायना ततः सज्जोषनादाशपवर्गवर्त्मनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति I seek your blessings, dear devotees, and my humble obeisances to you all. Today's verses I'm given are from chapter 13, 42 and 43. So we will recite the verse. and try and discuss together. यथा गावो नसी प्रोतास तन्त्यां बद्धाश्च दाम्भिः वाक्तन्त्यां नामभिर्बद्धा वहन्ति बलिमीशितुः. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As a cow bound through the nose by a long rope is conditioned, so also human beings are bound by different Vedic injunctions and are conditioned to obey the orders of the Supreme. Okay. So we will, there are two long paragraphs here of the purport, and we have one more shloka also to do. So let's try and understand that this verse, how we came to this verse. So previous verses we have seen in the previous verse that here Narad Muni comes and then he smashes the illusion of Yudhishthira by giving him the philosophical understanding. And so far, he tells Yudhishthir Maharaj that so far you were traveling in the forest, before you became the king. And at that time, the Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Vidura, all of them, they were not with you, right? And in case, so what happens is that after the war is over, all of you came together, and then now you are living together for a while. And now they are retired, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, after Vidura gives them the knowledge of self-realization. So they have both retired, and they have gone. So you are again getting separated. And all of this is ordained by Supreme Lord, by the laws of the Lord, by His supreme will. And this is also because they have their own karmas, you have your own karmas, and due to which sometimes people come together and then they disperse again. So they come together, they separate. This happens due to two things. First thing, it is done by the will of the Supreme Lord, and secondly, we all have unique karmas to bear. So certain karmas bring us together, certain they separate us when a certain time together is over. So you should not unnecessarily lament, Yudhishthir, and you should not own the guilt also. So this is what Narad Muni says, and he tells Yudhishthir Maharaj that he should recognize that the all-pervading control of Supreme Lord, and thus he will be able to overcome the lamentation. Uh, and also with this teaching, it is quite clear that all the living beings should worship Supreme Lord, because nothing happens without His will, and we are all, at the mercy of the Lord. So also in the previous verse we saw there is this beautiful also in there two words are there, Samyunakti and Bhutani, yesterday's verse, right? 41. So Samyunati and Viyunakti means that Supreme Lord brings people together and he disperses them. So meeting and separation is all dependent on Supreme Lord. Hence Yudhishthir should not lament. And in this verse, 42nd verse, Srila Prabhupada gives a really nice example in the purport that how a cow is bound by a rope through its nose. Similarly, human beings are bound by the Vedic injunctions, which are the Supreme Lord's orders. So we can see like when a cow, when we go to the countryside or village, we have seen many times in a farm that the cow is or animal is tied to some tree or a rope. And we can see that whatever is the radius of that rope's length, so within that radius or within that circle, cow can move anywhere. So within that circle, say if there is a shade, cow can go and sit under the shade. If she wants to sit in the sun, she can go and sit in the sun. She can sit on the grass. Whatever she can do, or she can sit under a tree. But the cow can only go up to that radius, that circle, that is within the how much the radius the rope covers. So beyond that circle, the cow cannot go because rope is binding. Similarly, with this example, Srila Prabhupada explains that every living entity is given certain freedom based on his own previous activities. So, based on what we did in the past, our past activities and karma, we have certain freedom. Say, for example, there will be many people who have traveled around the world, may have seen many countries in a young age. There may be people who are older, but they may have been to few countries, like just a gross example. So that is what is the freedom given to them, how much they have traveled. The person can exercise his free will or controllership within those limits. For example, the birds can fly in the sky. Human beings don't have wings, so we cannot fly. Yes, we can go in a aeroplane and fly, but we can't fly ourselves because we are not given that freedom. So everyone is under control and everything runs under the rules and regulations of the Supreme Lord. Every living being, whether man, animal, or bird, is under the severe laws of Supreme Lord, and these laws should not be disobeyed in any circumstances. Srila Prabhupada says that this control is actually our protection. This kind of control is not our limitation, but this is for our protection. And if we follow, we will eventually actually get lot of freedom. So, in a way, cow is protected when tied to the rope or put, say, within walls in a room, in a farm, and so that the cow gets protected. It doesn't die, or people or other wild animals don't attack the cow. So, it is actually for the cow's protection. Similarly, humans, they are also bound by laws of the Vedas, scriptures, that is for our protection. So, say if there is no such protection, and if we don't follow these rules and unrestrictedly, if we just try and, enjoy sense gratification, try and satisfy our gross senses, then that is going to lead to certain karma that will entangle us even more and more in this material world, and our tenure will become even will extend, and we'll have to stay longer here. We won't be able to entangle or go back to Godhead soon because of that unrestricted freedom. We did certain karmas that are not as per the laws of the Lord, then that is going to bind us even more and more. So that is not freedom, that is entanglement. But if we follow the rules of Supreme Lord, then we are going to come out of this bondage. And actually, that is the real freedom. So, in this way, we can see that if one is obedient to the injunctions of Supreme Lord, then he is guaranteed and he is actually given protection by the Lord. So, in this way, we can see here also in this purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned this beautiful verse that he says, okay, let's read the purport. The codes of religion, scriptural injunctions, are made by liberated representatives of God in consideration of different conditions of living. And by carrying out the orders of the Lord, the conditioned living beings gradually become free from the clutches of material existence. The factual position of the living being is, however, that he is the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. In his liberated state, he renders service to the Lord in transcendental love and thus enjoys a life of full freedom, even sometimes on an equal level or with the Lord, or sometimes more than the Lord. So here, when I read this, I thought, how comes more than the Lord, the devotee or the servant enjoys? So it is like the example of gopis and Srimati Radharani, how Krishna wanted to understand that how comes Radha, what is the actual enjoyment of the gopis and Radharani that he cannot himself understand unless he takes their position, because serving is a great joy, serving the Lord, because as we have previously discussed, ahaitukiya pratihata, when it is selfless, it gives immense satisfaction and joy. But Krishna himself can't experience it because he is being served. He himself is not really serving like gopis. And even in In Bhagavatam, Krishna says to gopis that I can never repay you for your wonderful selfless services. So this service that you do to me and the love you have for me, that in itself is the reward. I cannot give you anything more than that because I'm not capable. So in that sense, when I read this, we can understand that even more than the Lord, the devotee of the Lord can enjoy equal level or sometimes more than the Lord. But in the conditioned material world, every living being wants to be the lord of other living beings. And thus, by the illusion of Maya, this mentality of lording it over becomes a cause of further extension of conditioned life. In the material world, the living being is still more conditioned until he surrenders unto the Lord by reviving his original state of eternal servitorship. That is the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita, and that is 1866, right? What is Krishna saying to Arjuna? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Do not worry, ma shuchaha. If you surrender unto me, then there is you need not worry at all. So when I was reading this, and then Krishna says that I promise you that I will protect you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So not only sinful reactions, but any obstacles we have in performing our devotional service, all those obstacles also Krishna will take away. That is what is the meaning of surrender. That if we just take that step towards surrendering to Krishna, like we have all these fears and all these insecurities and uncertainties, but if we really truly love Krishna and if we have faith, then we will surrender, right? Like how say for example, when the parent is throwing the child in the air, does the child cry when he's thrown in the air? He knows when he comes down, the parent is there to catch the baby, the young toddler, right? In the same way, if we really let go and surrender to Krishna that you are there and you will protect me, Krishna will protect. All we have to do is just trust and surrender, and He is there for us. So we need to take that step. Afterwards, whatever obstacles will come, Krishna says that I will definitely protect you from all your sinful reactions and the obstacles, because whatever karmas we did, there will be reaction. If there are any sinful karmas, vikarmas, then there will be reaction. But even that Krishna will take care of, because I think it's in this next verse also, Purport Srila Prabhupada says that the laws are altered if Krishna wants. If it is Krishna's mercy, the laws get altered as well. So it is all at the will of the Lord. We just have to surrender. And then here also, there is this beautiful verse that we studied also in the 11th chapter. This is when the Dwarkavasis, they offer prayer to Krishna. They say, see, this is Sarva Dharman Parityajya. They are saying that you are our mother, you are a well-wisher, you are Lord, you are Father, spiritual master, and worshipable deity. By following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect, whether we are thinking of material success or spiritual success. Anything is possible when we follow Krishna's footsteps. What does it mean? Following the footsteps is coming back to this purport where it says following the Vedic injunctions, the rules and regulations that are set in the Shastras by Vyasadev, by Acharyas. They are personally guided by Supreme Lord within their heart. So they have written and composed these Shastras. So these are the laws that is for our untanglement. To come out of this entanglement, all these things are given. So if we follow in his footsteps, then what happens? There is all success. So the residents of Dwarka, here we can see in this beautiful picture as Krishna arrives, they are all praying that we pray therefore that you continue to bless us with your mercy, my Lord. And this kind of mercy comes when we do Sarva Dharman Parityajya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja, Mam Ekam, just me. Krishna says, only surrender to me. You need not go to demigods, you need not go here, there. Yes, respect them, but even they cannot award you anything without my approval. So to go to Krishna for anything, you're happy, go to Krishna. You're sad, go to Krishna. You want to share your good news, go to Krishna. We go to temple, right? And we say thank you. If there is some anxiety, some guidance we need, we go and we pray, please Krishna, we need guidance. You are Paramatma within our heart, please guide us. And this is a beautiful prayer. Bhavaya nastvam bhava vishva bhavana tvameva mata suhrutpati pita tvam sadgururna paramam cha daivatam yasyanu kritino babhuvima. So you are our well-wisher, mother, father, spiritual master, our worshipable deity. So Srila Prabhupada says here, just surrender to Krishna in this beautiful 42nd verse. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. And okay, so here I have put this purport, okay, this verse for, let's read the second verse and then यथा क्रीडोपस्कराणां संयोग विगमाविह इच्छाय क्रीडितो स्यातां तथैवेशेच्छया नृणाम्. As a player sets up and disperses his playthings according to his own sweet will, so the supreme will of the Lord brings men together and separates them. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, we must know for certain that the particular position in which we are now set up is an arrangement of the Supreme Will in terms of our own acts in the past. The Supreme Lord is present as a localized Paramatma in the heart of every living being. As it is said in the Bhagavad Gita 13:23, and therefore he knows everything. He knows everything of our activities in every stage of our lives. He rewards the reactions of our actions by placing us in some particular place. So, anyone 13:23 verse wants to recite the verse? What is 13:23? Bhagavad Gita. We studied together. Usually Rupa Mataji knows all the verses. Okay. So 13:23 is Paramatma, right? Who is within our heart. Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purusha para. Srila Prabhupada says in the translation, yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is also known as super soul. So everything is done according to the supreme arrangement, according to our past and our actions. So who is witnessing all the activities, our thoughts, our actions, everything? Who is witnessing? So that is Paramatma. Upadrashtanu Anumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaram. Paramatmeti Chapyokto Dehesmin Purusha Para. Dehesmin, in this Deha, in this heart, there is Purusha Para, super soul. And a rich man gets his son, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but the child who came as the rich man's son deserved such a place, and therefore he is placed there by the will of the Lord. And at a particular moment, when the child has to be removed from that place, he is also carried by the will of the Supreme. Even if the child or the father does not wish to be separated from the happy relation, the same thing happens in the case of a poor man also. Neither rich man nor poor man has any control over such meetings or separations of living beings. So this verse is very much also in connection to one more verse in the 10th canto. But before that, we will read this part of the purport and then discuss that verse. Srila Prabhupada says further in the purport, therefore, the example of the player cited in this verse is quite appropriate. So we can see in the picture the girl is playing with the Legos, and then sometimes she will use these Legos to make a truck. Then she will separate them again, and according to her own wish, whatever she wants to make next, for example, she wants to make a car, she will again put them all together, make a car. So, Supreme Will is absolutely free to do whatever he likes. And because he is all perfect, there is no mistake in any of his actions or reactions. So, citing this example, Srila Prabhupada says that at the will of the Lord, he is also free to do whatever he likes because himself is not under the control of the rules that he has made, the scriptural rules and injunctions. So, one who is beyond those rules can only, um, act at his own free will. He is not bounded by those rules. These changes of resultant actions are especially rendered by the Lord when a pure devotee is involved. So, what he can do is that he can alter those rules for his pure devotee. Certain factors like the karmas and all that does not affect pure devotee because then they are completely Krishna is watching their activities and Krishna himself is watching them, and he can alter whatever reactions they are supposed to get. So again, this is very much assured in 9.30 and 31 Bhagavad Gita that the Lord saves a pure devotee who has surrendered unto him without reservation from all sorts of reactions of sins, and there is no doubt about this. So this is such a one of my favorite verses of Bhagavad Gita. 9:30 and 31 says, I was reading this purport. Every time we read this, certain beautiful pastimes from Bhagavatam comes to our mind, right? There are so many pastimes and examples of exalted devotees in whose case Krishna has, uh, you know, performed his supreme will to alter what reactions they get. For example, Ajamil, we know in the sixth canto, Ajamil, he gets a second chance, right, to go back to Godhead. And as per 931 verse, it says that Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma Shashvat Shantim Nigachati Konteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranishyati. So what it means? So this shloka, it reveals that even if my devotees commit some sins accidentally or unintentionally, if they worship me sincerely, I consider them saintly. They will soon become virtuous and attain lasting peace. O Arjuna, declare it boldly that my devotees never perish. And we can see in case of Indradyumna Maharaj. So, Indradyumna Maharaj was once doing tapasya, and at the same time, Sage Agastya happened to visit the place. But because Indradyumna was busy with his worship, he didn't realize that this great sage had arrived, and the sage feels neglected and he gets very angry and he says that because you are uncultured, what happens to you now is that you will become a dumb elephant in your next birth. So who does he become in his next birth? Gajendra. He becomes Gajendra. But even after becoming Gajendra, what happens is Lord reminds him his prayers and all his tapasya that he did as Indradyumna Maharaj, the prayers he used to recite, he remembered. And when he was in this long tussle with the crocodile, he remembers the prayers and he calls out, and Lord comes to protect him. So even when one has devotion to the Lord, even the curse of this Agastya Muni turned into blessing for him. And we know what happens to him as Gajendra is that later on, Lord will come, he will protect him, and Gajendra is taken back to Vaikuntha. So Agastya's curse became a boon indirectly. And after one life as elephant, Indradyumna was free of the cycle of birth and death, and he was taken to Vaikuntha to stay close to Lord Hari forever. So So this is one pastime, and then there is also another pastime of Chitraketu Maharaj. We know there also that how he was cursed by Mother Parvati, and then he takes that curse on board so graciously with lot of respect to Mother Parvati. He apologizes and he says that Mother, I accept your curse with folded hands. Please forgive me. For my improper speech, because we know, like how when they were sitting together, Chitraketu makes a comment, and Mother Parvati gets extremely offended and angry, and then she curses him to become a demon in the next life. But he takes that curse so nicely, and even Lord Shiva then says to Mother Parvati that, look how my devotee devotees are like this. They accept the curse, and so thus he also gets rewarded in the next life as Vritrasur. Then he has fight with Indra, and even during the fight he is preaching, he is giving the message of God to Indra, and then he also goes back to Vaikuntha to live forever with the Lord. And in that respect, also, King Chitraketu speaks to Mother Parvati this beautiful verse. Because while we are discussing this here, we can see that how Yudhishthir Maharaj is lamenting that where is my uncle and aunt gone, and I'm separated from them both. So that is the ignorance. And here Chitraketu Maharaj recites this really nice verse. Samsara chakra etasmin janturagnan मोहितः भ्राम्यन् सुखं च दुःखं च भुङ्क्ते सर्वत्र सर्वदा. Deluded by ignorance, the living entity wanders in the forest of this material world, enjoying the happiness and distress resulting from his past deeds, everywhere and at all times. Therefore, my dear mother, neither you nor I am to be blamed for this incident. So he says, what is sukh and what is dukh in this world? This is the material world, and because of ignorance, we are here, and as a result of past deeds, sometimes we experience happiness and sometimes distress, and they are both temporary. Right? Dukkhalayam shashvatam. This world is temporary. And even Bhagavad Gita matra sparshastu konteya sitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama apayino nitya stam stitikshasva bharata. We have to tolerate them, knowing the fact that this is temporary, and that helps us to tolerate whatever we go through. So external level, say we are going through heat and cold, summer we are hot, winter we are cold. Well, mainly here in London we are cold. We hardly have any summer, but we take care of it, right? We wear warm clothes, we put heating in the house. So internally also we are going through happiness and distress, and for that also we need to take precautions, and we need to make arrangement for it. And what is that arrangement? That is the shelter of the Lord. That will internally make us. Lord will equip our consciousness, right? We know Bhagavatam, the beginning verses also itself we learn that Bhagavatam does not remove all our sins and papas, and it doesn't remove. Yes, the reactions we have to bear, the pain will come, suffering will come, but it will equip our consciousness by studying all these exalted devotees pastimes and how they reacted to when miseries came to their lives, right? How much pain Pandavas have gone through. Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Kunti Maharani, so many devotees, they have gone through so much, but they all took shelter of the Lord, and that's how they were given the strength to go through it. So, in the same way, here in this purport of this verse, Srila Prabhupada mentions 3.27 verse, and I think 327. It is Prakrute Kriyamanani, Gune Karmani, Sarvashaha. Yeah, Ahankara Vimudhatma Kartahamiti Manyate. So the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are actually carried out by the three modes of material nature. So according to our mode, if we are in sattva, then we will live a regulated life. We will follow how these purports are saying, the rules and regulations set by the Shastras and Lord. Then we will be living a good way, good life. Say, for example, doing sadhana, waking up early, properly, chanting our rounds and studying Bhagavatam, Devotees Association services. Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manuswara Yudhya, right? Any activity we are doing, if we try and remember the Lord, at least for some time in the day, then that is the way of sattva. So all the modes are doing, and due to the modes, our karma is getting built up. And with that past deeds, the results will come, which will be either happiness or distress, but both are temporary. Chitraketu Maharaj says to Mother Parvati. So he says, yes, I will go through the curse happily, and I will continue my worship to the Lord, and I will do the devotional service. So the bewildered soul, under the influence of three modes of material nature, thinks himself the doer. Actually, a conditioned soul is completely under control of material nature, wandering here and there, always and everywhere carried out by the laws of nature. But one foolishly thinks himself that I am the doer, which in fact he is not. So to get free from the karma chakra, the wheel of the results of one's karma, one should take to bhakti marg, devotional service or Krishna consciousness, and that is the only remedy. So again here, like Prabhupada has mentioned in this verse 1866, and in this purport also, he has quoted 1866, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. And here how the child is, playing with the toys, bringing them together, separating them. The same way there is a verse in 10th canto when Nand Maharaj and Vasudev meet each other, and then it is time for them to again separate. Vasudev has to go back to Gokul, and Nand Maharaj stays where he is in Mathura. So then this verse was recited by them. Naikyatra Priya Samvasaha Surudam Chitra Karmanam Ogena Vyuhamananam Plavanam Shrotaso Yatha. So many planks and sticks, unable to stay together, are carried away by the force of a river's waves. Similarly, although we are intimately related with friends and family members, we are unable to stay together because of our varied past deeds and the waves of time. Vasudev was lamenting because he and Nanda Maharaj could not live together. Yet how could they live together? Vasudev wants that all of us, even if intimately related, are carried away by the waves of time according to the results of our past karma. And that's what Narad Muni is saying to Yudhishthir Maharaj in these verses. That when previously during war and before that, you never lived with Dhritarashtra and you did not have his association. But after the war, now you are together for some time, and now it's time for them to go. So why are you lamenting? Your karma brought you together to stay together for some time, and the same karma and the will of the Lord has separated you. So, like in this picture, if we just put some branches or twigs or leaves in a flowing river, we can see that they may go together, they may float together maybe for half a kilometer or a kilometer, depends. And we can just see that they are together as long as the waves of the water allows them to be together. The minute the wave and the wind they flow in different direction, these two will get separated, never to meet again. Maybe meet again, may not meet again. So like that, people come together and then they get separated from each other. For example, I was thinking when we were young and going to school, probably we met many, made friends, and when we were young, but how many of us are with them throughout together, even at this age later on when we are in our grihastha life? Not possible, right? We met them, then we separated, some of us meet again, but then we have not been continuously with them all this while. So people cannot always stay together even though they are friends with each other. Why? Because of Chitra Karmanam. We can see here in this verse, second line, Surudam Chitra Karmanam. So Chitra Karmanam means very unique karma. Each and every living entity has a unique, different karma to another. So he is put in certain situation that brings him close to that particular person. And when that karma is over, those two people will separate and they will get closer to another set of people. say from school to university, there you will make another friends and you'll be together for a few years again, another studying together. So until that prescribed time that your karma allows, you will be together and then you will separate. So this is the way how it is. And then all of us, we think that this set of people, they are my brother, father, mother, sister, etc. But that is for this lifetime, for temporary period. It is not. It is not eternity. If we think, then it is illusion. And because of karma, the person is giving. Person just thinks that this is it. That this is eternity, and then they start lamenting like how Yudhishthir Maharaj is doing, and that happens because of ignorance. That is why studying Bhagavatam equips our consciousness to get this understanding that it is all ordained by the law and there are Vedic rules and injunctions to follow, and not to lament, but to do, surrender to Krishna. 1866 is there, and then there is this promise in 9:30:31 that even if my devotee falls by mistake, Krishna says that I will give them second chance and they can come back to me. So in this way, Krishna is literally just waiting for us. And also there are many examples, and there is also this analogy of how there are sand particles on the shore of the ocean, and we can see that if we are walking on it, some particles will get stuck on our foot. So we will transport them maybe from that end of the shore to where we are walking. So they will again separate from those sand particles that they were together with. So with force of time, and if it's not us, then the waves are obviously continuously moving and separating these sand particles. Sometimes they go inside ocean, sometimes they are thrown out far away from the ocean. So actually our life is also like this, only sand particles. Sometimes for a certain time we are together, sometimes we are not, and time doesn't permit. But there are these two beautiful pastimes also. We know when Chitraketu's son dies, then Narad Muni also comes and gives him this teaching that who is the father and who is the mother in this lifetime. The child is, again comes back to life, and the child himself asks Chitraketu, who are you? So he says, I am your father. And Narad Muni says, in this life you were father. Last life, who was the father? Who were the parents? And also in Adi Leela, there is this pastime when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing the Sankirtana at the house of Srivas Thakur, when his son passes away, and then he is also brought back to life. And then even the child is asking that who is my mother, who is my father, and uh, this is the way it is, that even the child forgets, moves on, the soul moves on to the next life. And there is also this verse in Bhagavad Gita, Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe natvam shochitum arhasi. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament, just do your duty. So here also, Narad Muni says the same thing to Yudhishthir Maharaj actually, that now you are seated on the throne and Dhritarashtra and Gandhari have gone by the will of the Lord. So you should focus on your service that is given to you. And Krishna will disappear from this planet. He says that Yudhishthir Maharaj, he gives a hint. Until then, you rule your citizens and you do your duty. Let them go. They have gone. So you need not lament, but you do your duty. Like how here in this verse says that one should discharge one's duty. No matter what is the condition, we should not lament, we should not become dysfunctional, but we should do our duty depending on the Lord, and that is the way of life. So, following the rules and regulations of the scriptures, there is a beautiful verse. I put it somewhere here. I know it is time. Those who have to leave, I totally understand. But I just wanted to mention this one point is that, we feel separation here, how Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling separation from his uncle and aunt. And in the same way, all of us do as well. But the real separation that one should feel is separation from Krishna. And that is what we are all in that situation, because we are put in this material world. We wanted to enjoy separately from him. And we actually love him very much, and Krishna loves us. But what happens is that because we can't remember our union with Krishna when we were with him in spiritual world, we don't remember how beautiful, how sweet, and how nectarian it was. So we are not able to feel that separation as well, because you will feel separation if you had that association with that person long enough, and if you had that memory, and if you remember, then when that person is gone, you will really miss them and feel separation. But that's what we are trying to do by understanding and reading the scriptures in devotees association, learning all the pastimes, and from that finding out that how merciful Krishna is actually, and how he is waiting for us so much, and he wants us to be with him. So when we study all this and we read scriptures, we chant, and we take devotees association, do services at temple, slowly we are reviving our memory of our eternal position is with Krishna in the spiritual world back home, back to Godhead. And here Mother Earth is lamenting. So most association Krishna gave when he, descended to the Earth planet, to the here is that he gave most association to Mother Earth, because and in Vrindavan he did not even wear shoes. So every time his beautiful lotus feet were touching Mother Earth. And when the Kali comes and approaches, Mother Earth is telling her acute feelings that I'm feeling separation from Krishna, because Krishna will leave. He will go back to spiritual world. He leaves Earth, and then the Kali comes. So that will be in coming more chapters we will see. But here also Mother Earth recites this beautiful prayer, and she says that who therefore can tolerate the pangs of separation from Supreme Personality of Godhead? He could conquer the gravity and passionate wrath of his sweethearts like Satyabhama by his sweet smile of love, pleasing glance, and hearty appeals. When he traversed my surface, I would be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet, and thus would be sumptuously covered with grass, which appeared like hair standing on me out of pleasure. So, like how sometimes, we hear something that really touches our heart, some shloka, or some beautiful points that Srila Prabhupada makes, or if you are sitting in an ecstatic kirtan at temple, then you get goosebumps. Like that, Mother Earth is saying that I am getting goosebumps, like how the grass is standing, my grass is standing on its end, like how the hair stands on me out of pleasure. So this is how Mother Earth felt every time Krishna walked with his bare lotus feet on earth. So I'll just recite. There's a beautiful verse. कावासहेत विरहं पुरुषतमस्य प्रेमावलोकरुचिरस्मितवल्गुजल्पैः स्थैर्यं समानमहरन् मधुमाननीनां रोमोत्सवो मम यदङ्घ्रिवितक्तिक्यातायः. So Romotsavo Mama Yadangri. Romotsavo, I felt such pleasure, and it appeared like the grass appeared like hair standing on me out of pleasure. So this is the separation Mother Earth feels. And even Pandavas feel the separation, and we have already seen that in the previous chapters, that how Pandavas feel the separation from Lord, because they were very, very fortunate that Krishna gave their personal association to them. And when Krishna leaves the world, that how they will feel the separation unbearable. So this is, if we really want to lament and feel separation, that should be from Krishna. And all our relatives, all the devotees that we are with, they are all our well-wishers, they are our swajan, and our actual relationship with everyone is on the real spiritual plane. If we keep Krishna in the center and try and give each other and encourage and support each other in our Krishna consciousness, then Lord will be very pleased with us. So I'll conclude here. Sorry, I've taken more time today. but actually there is more to discuss. I had prepared even more pastimes and stories, maybe next time. So thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. And if I'm any mistakes, please forgive me. If you want to share anything, please go ahead. Messages. Okay, excellent. Okay, so if there is nothing, then already it is late. We will call it a day and conclude here. Thank you so much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya cha, Patitanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Wonderful
Hare
session.
Krishna Mataji,
Hare
thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare
Jai
Krishna
Shri
Chandra
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.